You grab it by the door without thinking. Black nylon, metal ribs, a button you press with your thumb. It's just an umbrella. But the object in your hand has been used to define kings, humiliate commoners, and kill a man in broad daylight on a London street. The real story is far stranger than the weather. Start with the shape itself. Long before anyone used it against rain, the umbrella was a weapon against something else entirely, other people. In ancient Egypt, a shade held over your head wasn't practical. It was proof. Only pharaohs, nobles, and their attendants stood beneath one. The shadow it cast was a kind of currency. If the sun touched your skin, everyone around you knew exactly where you stood. That idea didn't fade. It traveled. In 17th century France, King Louis XIV surrounded himself with parasols so elaborate they required servants trained specifically to carry them. Historians who've studied his court records note that permission to hold one near the king had to be granted. Think about that. An object you now leave crumpled in your car trunk once required royal approval to touch. So how did something built to announce power end up folded in your bag? Blame one stubborn Englishman. His name was Jonas Hanway. In the 1750s, umbrellas in England were considered feminine. Not impractical, feminine. A respectable man carried a walking stick, not a parasol. Rain was something you endured, because enduring it was, somehow, part of being a man. Hanway didn't care. He walked the streets of London under an open umbrella anyway, for roughly 30 years, while strangers laughed at him, hackney drivers shouted insults, and cartoonists mocked him in print. He kept walking. Here's the twist nobody expects. Hanway wasn't laughed at because the umbrella was useless. He was laughed at because it worked too well, and had broken an unspoken rule about who got to stay dry and who didn't. Coachmen hated him specifically because a dry pedestrian didn't need a cab. An umbrella threatened an entire economy built on people getting wet. By the time Hanway died in 1786, the ridicule had quietly reversed. Umbrellas became standard. The joke had outlived its own punchline. But that's only the second strangest chapter. The strangest one involves a killing. September 7, 1978. A Bulgarian writer named Georgi Markov was waiting at a bus stop on Waterloo Bridge in London. He felt a sharp sting in the back of his leg. He turned and saw a man picking up a dropped umbrella, apologizing, and walking away. Markov thought nothing of it. 4 days later, he was dead. Investigators found a tiny pellet embedded in his leg, smaller than a pinhead, engineered to dissolve and release a lethal dose of ricin into his bloodstream. The umbrella hadn't been an accident. Its tip had been converted into a firing mechanism, almost certainly by the Bulgarian Secret Service working with Soviet intelligence. An object designed to keep you dry became, in one documented case, a concealed assassination tool. The press at the time couldn't resist the name. They called it the umbrella murder. It remains one of the only killings in modern history committed with rainwear. Now think about the ordinary risk sitting in your umbrella stand right now. Metal ribs, a metal shaft, held upright above the tallest point of your body during a storm. Meteorologists have long flagged this exact combination as a lightning hazard, because a raised metal object is precisely what a strike is looking for. You're not just holding shelter from the rain. You're holding a rod. So here's what's actually strange about this object. It was never really about weather. In Egypt, it separated royalty from everyone standing in the sun. In Louis XIV's court, it required permission to open. In Hanway's London, it threatened an entire trade built on human discomfort. In 1978, it became a murder weapon precise enough to fool a crowded street in broad daylight. The rain was almost incidental the entire time. And that pattern hasn't disappeared. It just got quieter. Notice how you feel stepping under someone else's umbrella when you forgot yours. That flicker of being sheltered, or excluded, depending on who's holding it. Notice how a closed black umbrella under someone's arm on a clear day still reads, instinctively, as authority, as a person heading somewhere important. You inherited that reflex from pharaohs and kings without ever choosing to. Next time it rains and you pop yours open without a second thought, remember what you're actually holding. Not just an umbrella. a 5,000-year-old symbol of who gets to stay dry and who has to stand in the storm.